everyone. This video is about the exam that I had to take, which is called the PPR 160. I have my bachelor's degree in dance from the University of Houston, and I didn't do the certification with them. I decided to do it with an alternative program, which is called Teach Worthy. And my experience with Teach Worthy has been good. It's just that I feel that certain areas was really hard for me to understand. I wish there would have been more of like videos. Like, I'm not the type of person that learns online. So some people do really good with online classes. I prefer to go be in person and see the teacher in front of me. I'm getting my certification in health. So my experience with tests and certifications is big. So I have many certifications, like you have no idea. I love studying. Even though sometimes I complain that I'm like, oh my God, I study so much. There are times that I feel like I need to keep learning and learning and learning. So I do have a lot of certifications. I have a lot of experience testing, but from some reason, like PPR 160 has been the hardest test to study and to take. I've been studying so much all my life, and I am a certified personal trainer. I have a lot of fitness certifications like Pilates, yoga, stress management. I have a weight loss certification. I have a ballet tone, which is like a mixture of fitness and ballet together. And even like a nutrition lifestyle, I think it's called lifestyle weight loss. One of the hardest also has been the personal trainer certification, because you needed to learn a lot about anatomy and how the body works. The teachers should be enthusiastic about the subject they teach. Okay, so I remember this is a pedagogy and responsibilities test, and this was the first time I heard that. But then I remembered, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense, because in school I have always hated like math and history. It made a lot of sense to me because when I was in college, there was a teacher. He was a history teacher. So I knew I had to take a history class. It was a requirement, and I remember it was a summer class. They're very intensive, right? Like the summer classes that you take in college. So, I just didn't think much of it. I was like, I just need to take this class and, get it over with. But at the beginning, I was not happy about it. I was not excited. I was like, oh, it's just another history class I have to take. And then as time went by, it was in an auditorium. So it was like a very big class, like probably more than 100 students. The teacher was young. I think he was in his like 40s, late 40s. And he was really handsome. But that had nothing to do with it. Like, he was just very cute, but that had nothing to do with it. I remember that he just made us laugh. Like, he was so good at what he was doing, at what he was teaching. But when I heard him and when he would like teach, the way that he would talk, the way that he moved his hands, his gestures, his tone of voice, like, it was just so different. It wasn't that he was cute. It wasn't that he was a man. It was the fact that he loved what he taught. And to me, he started, getting my attention, and it was a hard class. He just surprised me by the way that he taught his class. Every time I think about it, I'm like, what did that teacher do to me? And it was a hard class. It wasn't easy because he was very strict. His tests were hard. He would always make us read a lot. But I just remember that, like, out of the blue, I just started having this fascination for his class. And I loved going to his classes. I didn't even want to miss a day, just because this teacher was up there, like, showing that he cared so much about his class, about his subject that he was teaching. I just feel that when you love what you do, like, people are gonna see that. People are gonna catch on that, and you can, touch people like that. And that's how we can touch our students, loving what we do and just being happy to be there with them, teaching them, and just caring about their education and their success. Every day, I noticed that I was like being drawn to the teacher and like always taking notes, and hey, I'm here, like paying attention, I'm taking notes, I'm very happy to be here. And that's how it was. And it was just very surprising. But then I even thought about it. I was like, what's going on? There I was, happy to be in the classroom. I remember there was a time that there was a boy that he fell asleep And the teacher got so mad. He was like, wake up. If you don't want to be here, some teachers are when they feel disrespected. But in my head, I was like, how can you fall asleep? Like, this class is the coolest. How can you fall asleep? And, that was just me in my head. But yeah, it was like, incredible. Like, it was one of the best experiences to me because I've taken many history classes. I've always just been there, do what I have to do and get out, but I never liked history. And then, like, after this man, taught me this class, I started loving history, but it was only because the way he taught it. It's not like I was like, oh, I want to be a history teacher now. I want to buy books about history. No, it was just at that time. Just his class. It was just his class. So I remember I used to take so many notes, and I even saved that notebook. It's incredible because when I would finish classes that I didn't care, I would just like throw those notebooks away and just recycle it. But I kept his notebook, once I finished the class, every time I would open it and like read it, I would think, oh, I remember when he taught this. I remember when he taught that. And even like if you ask me right now, like, what did you learn in that class? I'm like, I don't really remember because it was a long time ago. But I remember the way that he made me feel, that the class made me feel, that his energy, his vibe made me feel, I wanted to learn. I was like hungry to learn more. So yes, I saved the notebook. I knew I was going to recycle it one day because I'm like that. I'm crazy about, trying to do good things for the world. And I know, whenever I can, I try to recycle plastic, try to recycle paper, but I knew eventually I was gonna recycle it, but it took me, like, I was like, no, I cannot recycle this. Like, it took me probably a year to recycle that notebook because it just brought so many good memories to me that I was like, I cannot just put it in the recycle. Like, I'm gonna go over it again. And I did that. It took me a few months to go over it. I would like read, and I was like, I remember when he taught this, he taught that. And I just want to say, like, if you ask me now, like, what did this teacher had that he was different? And it was not just his passion for the subject that he taught. It was also the way that he made jokes. He would make this class so much fun. He would like, be out there. He would be very like active, very hyper. He would make jokes, and he will also make us like think. You know how they say that sometimes you gotta relate the subject that you're teaching to the kids' lives, because sometimes kids can be like, why am I gonna need this in the future? Why am I even learning this? But it's important for us teachers to let them know, like, hey, you can use this here, you can use this over there. So just so kids know that it's important that they're learning what they're learning. Like, this experience that I had was crazy. But so I saved the notebook. That's something that I wanted to let you know. That's how much I loved his class, that I saved the notebook. And it took me a year to just like, keep reading, taking my time and just remembering that his class was fun. He would make a lot of jokes. He would make everything related to us, to our lives. And he would like really make us think. When a student sees that a teacher is very like enthusiastic about the subject and happy about teaching the class and hyper and being out there, I think you fall in love with the class because it's the energy, is everything, compared to having a teacher that just goes there and is like very like mad about being in the job and like boring, and just you see that person doesn't want to even be there, and then you're like, oh my god, this teacher doesn't want to be here and just like in a bad mood. But it does make a difference, you guys. It does make a difference when you see somebody that is out there, like happy about what they're doing and happy at what they can like portray and like teach. It's not only about that teacher, it's not only in a school setting, or maybe it could be also like some people have this personality of it just being like fun and very like hyper and energetic, that also draws people like, oh, like I want to be over here, instead of somebody that is very like down. But yeah, so I just think that is extremely important, this. And I can say why, because it happened to me. Like, I always thought about like, why do I love this class, and then it just makes a lot of sense. Like, this teacher was amazing. Another place that this happened to me, that I loved going to this place, it was at my church. So when I was little, there was a priest, because I'm Catholic. There was a priest that I've been to many Catholic churches in my life. Yeah, so when I was little, I used to go to this church, and there was this priest that he was like this teacher, very energetic, very happy to be there, talking about God, giving stories. And I used to love to go in there. So it doesn't happen just in schools. It happens anywhere that a person is very happy to be there. So a teacher, a priest, that's my experience when it comes to that. I wanted to go to the history class. I wanted to go to that church. And I remember sometimes when the priest was not there and they would have another priest, I would be like, oh, I want the other priest, because he was like very, very fun. Like it depends also on the people. There could be people that don't like that type of energy, the high energy. But I love, when you go somewhere and there's like a lot of passion. I remember the priest would even be like clapping and making us dance and sing. And I would just love that. And then this other teacher, he wouldn't make us dance, but he would just be so like passionate, very happy. What I have right now in this video, I believe is the most important study notes that I used. And I hope this can be helpful. And again, if you're also in the path of wanting to be a teacher, or you're already a teacher, this will still be helpful, because I believe that all that I have here is helpful for new teachers or experienced teachers. So let's just keep having the patience, because teaching is a hard job. It's not easy. It's not easy, especially I think also that it depends on the personalities. I have a very loving, very soft, even though when I'm mad, I can be a little rough. So I accept that. But most of the time I'm very sweet, I'm very loving, and I'm very caring. Like that's just my personality. So when you're a teacher, sometimes if you are very nice, kids can take advantage of that. So see what you need to work on. Like for me, classroom management is big, because I remember when I started my first teaching job, I just thought that teaching the content was gonna be hard for me. And then later I realized, I was like, wow, like the content was easy to teach. It was just the classroom management, the behavior, like that was the most challenging for me, was the behavior. And my first job was at a middle school. It was a 6th grade class, and I had 60 students, 30 like in the morning and then 30 in the afternoon. And I was a new teacher, and I was just thrown in the classroom. I did had like a person that was like a mentor, and I remember the principal was always, checking the class and all of that. But I just think, like being a teacher, it's such a rewarding job. You do create nice connections with these kids. Like I remember the last day of teaching the middle school, even though they were not like behaving good, because they did take advantage of me because I was new, and they knew that I didn't know a lot, especially when it comes to behavior. And also the techniques of like, teachers that have been teaching for a long time, they have, a lot of techniques and a lot of tricks and everything. But if you're new, it's gonna be hard. These kids that I had, when I started being a teacher, they needed a teacher that was more strict with them. They would have done better. And I felt so bad, because I was like, I wish I could be different for these kids. I wish I can be like stronger, more strict. And I tried and I couldn't. I tried to go every day, with like serious face and all that, just trying to do the best job that I could. But then at the end, like I felt like it was just too much, especially for being a new teacher. I feel like, when you're a new teacher, lots of challenges are going to come up. But yeah, as a new teacher, you have to see what you need to work on, try to get help from other teachers. It is a very rewarding job, like the relationships that you're going to create with these kids, and just letting them know that you care about them, that you believe in them, is huge. Because a lot of teachers don't believe in the students, and the students sometimes think that it's okay. Sometimes their parents don't believe in them, and then teachers don't believe in them. So it's very, very important to, show these kids that you believe in them and that they can succeed, even if in their house they're not getting that. So, they have to get that from the teachers. I've been a paraprofessional for the longest time, but it's different. Like once you're in front of those kids by yourself, no teacher around, like you're there, you're the teacher, is just different, it's not the same as like having all the experience being in the classroom. Is not the same. Like I just thought, I was like, oh yeah, teaching the content will be the most difficult part here, because I have so many years of being a para. It wasn't like that. I still needed help. But it was also the school that I was at. It wasn't the best. It was a very difficult area. Most of the behavior, was also happening at home. When I would call their parents, it was also happening at their house. They were being disrespectful also to the parents. But at the end, the last day that I saw those kids, it was very emotional because those kids cared about me too, and I cared about them. When I said bye to them, they all hugged me. Usually I was very, very, very strict on bullying. So like I always reminded them like there's no bullying in my classroom. But I remember one of those kids, when I left, it was one of the kids that they were bullying. And I always protected him and always reminded my students that in my classroom there was going to be no bullying, like that we all have to be nice and we all have to respect each other. But yeah, this student was the one that hugged me the hardest. Like I thought he was gonna kill me. Like he took my breath away. I couldn't breathe, and I was like calm down. But yeah, so is I have really nice, really, really, really nice memories. But it was a tough job. Like my first job, as a teacher, it wasn't easy. I learned a lot, yes. And now that I finished studying the PPR, I just see that I made a lot of mistakes, but it was because I haven't even finished my certification, because the job that I got was for people that were still in the process of getting their certification. Even though it's a headache, it's a pain in the butt, studying for the PPR, because it has been tough. You're learning a lot, like I said, stuff that you are going to need in the classroom, and it's going to be beneficial for you as a teacher and for your kids. That's the main goal. We need to be there for those kids and help them succeed. Now that I am a dance high school teacher, I always felt that I like high school better than any other grades. Like hats off to all the middle school teachers, because it's a tough place to be at. But yeah, just for me, I love teaching high school. Don't get me wrong, there are still days that I'm like, coming home with a headache. And they are more respectful, not all of them, but most of them are more respectful than middle schoolers, and they are more mature. Hormones are a little calmer than middle schoolers. Like I feel like in high school, the kids, they kind of know who they are becoming, but in middle school, everything is like so new and they don't even know what's going on and they don't even know who they are. So that's the confusion and sometimes why they're behaving like that. As you guys know, there's a shortage in teachers, so it's kind of sad. Nowadays it's harder to be a teacher than it was like long time ago. Hopefully these notes are helpful to you. I'll see you guys on the next video. Have a wonderful night or day. God bless you. Bye. Piaget stages of cognitive development. Stage 1, sensory motor, ages 0 to 2 years old. Objects. In this stage, coordination of senses with motor responses, sensory curiosity about the world. Language used for demands and putting things in catalogs. Object permanence is developed. 2. Stage of pre-operational, ages 2 to 7, egocentric, hands-on activities. In this stage, symbolic thinking happens, usage of proper syntax and grammar to express concepts. Imagination and intuition are strong, but complex abstract thoughts are still difficult. Conservation is developed. They think that everyone views the world like they do. Stage 3, concrete operational. Make observations and understand concrete ideas, not hypotheses. Ages 7 to 11 years old, usually 5th graders. Reasoning and consequences. Concepts attached to concrete situations, time, space, and quantity are understood and can be applied, but not as independent concepts. Classify ideas and objects and understand conservation. Concrete ideas, such as the water does not change if it's in another glass. And kids here need a concrete example. The last stage is formal operational, thinking abstractly about a concept and to make predictions. This happens when kids are 11 years old and older. They can create stories and they start doing deductive reasoning. Theories, hypotheses happen in this stage, and counterfactual thinking. Abstract logic and reasoning, strategy and planning are possible. Concepts learned in one context can be applied to another. To promote positivity in the classroom, contacting parents with a message about their child's strengths will make parents feel proud. Friends play a big role in psychosocial development and identity. In adolescence, during mid-adolescence, friends play a big role. They don't really care about family. They demand conformity to increase similarities among individuals. This decreases the stress in decision making and lowers chances of exclusion from friends. Teenagers rely a lot on peers more during mid-adolescence. A fourth grader in Piaget's theory of cognitive development is in Piaget's concrete operational stage. This happens during 7 to 11 years, usually in fourth grade. Or it can also happen to a child of 9 to 10 years old. All this goes in concrete operational stage. It is normal for a kid 3 to 5 years old to tell stories and ask a lot of questions. A 7-year-old child is able to express emotions, opinions, and can hold conversations. A kid that is 5 to 8 years old can express opinions and hold detailed conversations. Rubrics are for scoring guides, is helpful tool for understanding feedback, clear expectations. Can be used for self-grading. An example of using higher level of Bloom's taxonomy is brainstorming ideas of higher thinking, such as writing an essay. Evaluating and creating is part of Bloom's taxonomy. And an essay is really high on the list of higher order thinking. When talking to parents, teachers should avoid education terms. If a teacher notices a kid not being on task while doing cooperative learning, the teacher should review and assign roles of each member of the group. Talking to the members will encourage student involvement. To help students understand the assignment expectations, a teacher should show examples of what to do and what not to do. Creating an online forum of the class with open discussion for parents helps promote ongoing communication to enhance parental involvement in student learning. To increase motivation in high school students, a teacher can offer students choices and incorporate real-world applications to create challenging tasks. Giving student choices gives students ownership in learning. It's important to establish positive relationships by getting to know students and their family at the start of the school year. Parents like hearing from teachers that care about their children and value their kids. If you're creating a backward design plan of a unit, the teacher should create a rubric for the final project that corresponds to the state standards. This will portray grading expectations. Teachers cannot take students off campus without permission of their parents. It's a violation of the school policy and could cause problems with the principal too. It's important to activate students' prior knowledge. This also encourages students and stimulates students' interest before doing an activity, such as watching a video or reading a text. Observing an old teacher and discussing classroom management skills can help a new teacher get good at classroom behavior. Positive reinforcement is a teacher's praising a student who correctly answers a difficult question. The positive behavior the positive behavior is reinforced, and the compliment will encourage the student to repeat that behavior. If a teacher doesn't believe in their students, they will know. Students respond to expectations. If they know the teacher thinks they can't do something, they won't do it. If a teacher believes in them, they'll do it. Seating a student in the front of the room to help him focus and avoid distraction is best if he gets easily distracted. And this also helps to get him redirected back into the focus behavior. When doing a parent-teacher conference, the teacher should always start on a positive note. For example, show the student's strengths in other subjects before addressing the subject where the student has low grades or is struggling. This will help parents be more great at receiving the critique of the teacher and less defensive. Using a classroom portfolio for assessment purposes helps provide an opportunity for students to reflect on their progress. Portfolios are a collection of student work compiled over time to show progress and growth. To enhance participation, teachers should respond to all students' answers in a positive way and in a constructive manner. Students should feel safe at taking risks. To increase positive student engagement and motivation, a teacher can provide students with choice and ownership. For example, let students choose a topic and answer each other's questions. The teacher can use a projector to model an assignment, such as how to start a journal entry. This allows students to see and hear info needed to correctly complete an assignment. Asking specific questions, the teacher assesses students to recall the content by asking specific questions. The best way to give back graded papers is to do it while students are doing other work. That will maximize instructional time. And the teacher should do this quietly. If students create their classroom rules, they're more likely to follow them. A time management skill is reminding students how much time they have to complete a task, so the teacher can put a timer for this. To take attendance of a big class, to save time, you can have the students do a task while you're taking attendance. Learning is reinforced when students have the opportunity to actively process and reflect on new information. Reflecting will offer productive outcomes. It helps process new info. To know where students are struggling, assessments such as formative assessments can be used to ask questions about the material of the day. This can give teachers an idea of what they're learning and how they need to do to keep on working and keep growing. If a teacher sees bullying to a student that is also being excluded from activities by their peers, the teacher can create collaborative activities that enhance learning and includes all students so they feel a sense of belonging and safety. It's our responsibility to have a safe, inclusive, and orderly place for our students. To get students engaged in class discussions, arrange desks to be in circles. That way, all students face each other and all students can see and be involved in the conversation. Now, circles just means putting all the desks in one big circle. If in 9th grade, a teacher notices students are struggling with a concept, the teacher can place them into cooperative learning groups, and the students who master the concept will help the students who don't understand the concept. This will help the whole class to be engaged and also to socialize. If in a 1st grade classroom there are arguments, the teacher can engage students in class discussion about solutions for disagreements, and this will teach them to work together and develop personal skills. To give feedback, use an established rubric with notes of positives and to inform students about errors that need to be addressed. Students should be introduced and understand the rubric for grading, and they'll know how to benefit from this specific feedback. To improve the learning environment in the classroom, the teacher should address all students' intellectual involvement and active learning preferences. This should be something we think when creating our lesson. Without peer collaboration and different levels of effective intellectual stimulus, students will not be engaged in active learning. A 504 plan provides requirements for classroom teachers to adjust instruction or the environment to meet the student's needs. For example, giving a student a seat that decreases distraction because he usually gets distracted. When students do projects, the teacher should walk around to monitor students' understanding during the project. This also makes the teacher available for any questions. To address different learning styles, a teacher can use lectures, videos, group projects, or research projects. Here, the teacher can reach all students and address the auditory, visual, and tactile learners. A nonverbal communication is to help a student that's disruptive focus again. Is giving a student either eye contact or tapping on the student's desk to remind them they're being supervised. Sometimes using only whiteboard to teach students can cause boredom and students can start misbehaving. To keep students' interest, a teacher should use short multimedia presentations such as PowerPoint to teach lessons, and also make sure to include pictures and videos because it's entertaining and it increases their interest during instruction. If you have very talkative students in class, ask them to be observers in small group discussions and take notes on the participation and topics discussed. Because talkative students like leadership roles. They like to voice their opinion. So they can talk about what they saw in each group. So they can walk around each group and write what they heard about each group. And then that student can share with the classroom. We need to encourage students to participate in discussions, but some are shy. You can divide the class into small groups and still do discussions in the small groups instead of the whole class, because some students that are shy do not feel comfortable talking in front of everybody. And here they can all participate calmly and enjoy discussions. To reduce the stress in the classroom, the teacher should reduce threats from other students by saying clearly the classroom expectations and talk about the behavior. To do backward design for a unit, creating grading expectations or a rubric is the first step to a backward design of a unit. This makes sure all expectations are met. Teachers should accommodate instruction to meet various learning styles and instructional strategies, such as auditory, visual, or tactile. Instructional feedback should be given using a rubric with positives and errors that need to be addressed. The teacher should consider learning preferences of her students before planning learning activities. If a student doesn't do well on several assignments, the teacher needs to assess the student's knowledge by using formal and informal assessments to determine what the student knows in order to focus on instruction more appropriately, while monitoring the student's progress. If you are allowing peer assessment to be sure there's a positive interaction between students, we should provide sentence frames for constructive feedback. For example, I wonder if you can add blank, or could you talk about this blank more? We can create high expectations for students by giving them opportunities to choose in their learning. Give them autonomy. Let them self-monitor. Give students scaffolds and help them to reach their goals. We can show students exemplary pieces of work from other past years, letting them know you trust them and give them the responsibility. A student's growth support a culture of high expectations. We should encourage students to have ambitious goals. ELL students may have different goals from English-speaking students. Showing enthusiasm for a topic makes students more interested in a subject. Teachers should show enthusiasm for the students to be engaged in the class as well. We should show interest in their lives of the students and encourage abilities. Allow them to be curious about their ideas and help them develop independent interests on a topic. In parent conference meetings, the teacher should emphasize her willingness to work with each student to be successful. Teachers need to identify individual learning styles. We need to take time and observe our students to work and to have choices in the classroom. An example of positive reinforcement can be a teacher praising a student for answering difficult questions correctly. This will encourage the student to repeat that behavior. When working in groups, the teacher should walk from group to group observing students. This also makes students more comfortable to ask questions if they're confused. By us showing enthusiasm for learning, we help our students be lifelong learners. We also need to provide hands-on activities. Family involvement in a child's education is essential for success. Field trips planned as culminating experiences is to allow students to make connections between the current skills and those new to them. They can see what was taught in class and its application in the community. Instruction where the student's self-esteem is enhanced will create an environment where students feel accepted, competent, and productive. When teachers allow students to make decisions such as a research paper, the teacher understands the importance of teaching decision-making through classroom tasks and the relationship between interest and motivation. Choice and responsibility are key factors in learning success. Giving students a rubric or a checklist at the beginning of the assignment helps them with time management and planning. If students ask for more time during silent reading, be sure to tell them that there are consequences if they don't follow expectations. This helps them accept responsibility for their own behavior and use their reading time wisely. Teachers should emphasize the students' own hard work. We should build a sense of self-efficacy and intrinsic motivation in our students. Using PowerPoint helps students become more involved in learning. Teachers need to use productivity tools to communicate info in various formats, including multimedia presentations. Teachers can use videos, music, hands-on activities, and physical movement. By doing this, we can reach as many students as possible through different learning styles. To create a climate of trust, encouraging a positive attitude towards learning, and the teacher can meet one-on-one to discuss the strengths and weaknesses with each student. Teachers can call parents the first days of school to say how good the students did on a quiz. This opens positive lines of communication with parents as soon as possible. It's proven that when teachers have good relationship with parents, teachers can help their students succeed. Using cooperative learning to teach about diversity is proven to be effective. Students in cooperative groups improve their social skills and increase their understanding of diversity of students. Cooperative groups also teach students to work together and encourages tolerance and understanding between students. Formative assessments are continuous and intended to serve as a guide for future learning and instruction. Summative assessment or evaluation are used to do as a final critique or a grade with no link to the future. Students are highly motivated to solve problems they choose. Make sure that you give them the option. After finishing a lecture, let students process the information. You can ask what thoughts do you have, what any questions do you have. Students can also discuss problems with the person next to them. When teachers give directions, teachers should give one direction at a time and wait till each step is completed before giving the next direction. Think, Pair, Share is a cooperative learning structure that increases students' participation. It also slows down the pace of the lesson and extends the student thinking. A teacher can enrich a classroom by providing activities that include problem solving, critical thinking, and complex activities. Cooperative learning is teaching socializing skills and how to work collaboratively, supporting interactions, and it touches on how to get along with each other. This also breaks down ethnic barriers, improving ethnic relations. Teachers should also send only necessary info to parents. If there are too many emails, parents will start ignoring the teacher's emails. For us to create positive environment, the class can do icebreaker games where they can talk about interests and hobbies. Teachers should show enthusiasm for reading and show students that we are active readers. If a lot of teachers work together for creating a unit, they can create a shared document for planning where all the teachers can paste links to resources. That's using cooperative technology. Using a shared document. At the beginning of the year, set up a meeting with each parent to discuss mutual goals for students. This helps build a relationship with the parents. A teacher shows interest in a student's life, and that will positively impact his or her learning. While a teacher teaches the lesson, but everyone seems confused and not participating, the teacher should continue to make adjustments to the instructional approach to ensure understanding. A teacher should develop a feeling of trust between him and the students. That's the first step to establish a productive learning environment. If students need to use pictures from a multimedia presentation, they can use their own pictures taken with their own camera to prevent breaking copyrights laws. When teachers give feedback verbally or written to students, that gives them a chance to reflect on their own work. Teachers should develop in students a sense of responsibility for their own achievement. This helps improve the work on their own. Having a folder system when there's an inbox and outbox for folders helps with maximizing time for students' learning. Offering a reward for positive work creates a positive classroom environment and motivates students. Incentives can motivate students. If teachers notice that a few students don't understand the concept, have cooperative learning group mix them up together so students who master the concept can help students who do not understand. Students learn when they relate a topic to their lives. To establish behavior expectations, the teacher should have a discussion to develop mutual list of class behavior expectations with examples on each item of the list. If they understand, they will feel that their opinions are valued. So if the students are part of this behavior list, they can act on it. For example, one can be kindness and show respect for others, but also follow the rules of the classroom. Teachers need to be clear with expectations. Consistency is key when things happen. Address it fast. Do not wait. Collaboration groups. Give clear expectations and roles of each person in the group. And the teacher should circulate the room and hear each group. A portfolio can be used as a formative assessment by the teacher. Reading the portfolios weekly before planning the next week's instruction. Informal assessment is given throughout the unit, is flexible, and is an observation. Now, formal assessment, there are quizzes, projects, tests, and that can be done during or after instruction. And they have usually scoring guidelines. Rubrics are for scoring guides. Is helpful tool for understanding feedback, clear expectations. Can be used for self-grading. An example of using higher level of Bloom's taxonomy is brainstorming ideas of higher thinking, such as writing an essay. Evaluating and creating is part of Bloom's taxonomy. And an essay is really high on the list of higher order thinking. When talking to parents, teachers should avoid education terms. If a teacher notices a kid not being on task while doing cooperative learning, the teacher should review and assign roles of each member of the group. Talking to the members will encourage student involvement. To help students understand the assignment expectations, a teacher should show examples of what to do and what not to do. Creating an online forum of the class with open discussion for parents helps promote ongoing communication to enhance parental involvement in student learning. To increase motivation in high school students, a teacher can offer students choices and incorporate real-world applications to create challenging tasks. Giving student choices gives students ownership in learning. It's important to establish positive relationships by getting to know students and their family at the start of the school year. Parents like hearing from teachers that care about their children and value their kids. If you're creating a backward design plan of a unit, the teacher should create a rubric for the final project that corresponds to the state standards. This will portray grading expectations. Teachers cannot take students off campus without permission of their parents. It's a violation of the school policy and could cause problems with the principal too. It's important to activate students' prior knowledge. This also encourages students and stimulates students' interest before doing an activity, such as watching a video or reading a text. Observing an old teacher and discussing classroom management skills can help a new teacher get good at classroom behavior. Positive reinforcement is a teacher's praising a student who correctly answers a difficult question. The positive behavior is reinforced, and the compliment will encourage the student to repeat that behavior. If a teacher doesn't believe in their students, they will know. Students respond to expectations. If they know the teacher thinks they can't do something, they won't do it. If a teacher believes in them, they'll do it. Seating a student in the front of the room to help him focus and avoid distraction is best if he gets easily distracted. And this also helps to get him redirected back into the focus behavior.